You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
This is Trevor Harris.
Hey, how you doing? This is number 58, Travis Bond.
This is Christoph Malomba Chimanga.
Hey there, this is your co-host, Kenny Stafford.
Hey, this is Ryan King.
Calvin McCarty.
And you are listening to...
You're listening to the Eskimos Empire.
Listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
The Eskimo Empire Podcast. Hope you guys enjoy listening.
Welcome back to the Turf District for the Eskimo Empire Podcast, and we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. I'm Andrew, and joined this evening by superfan Mike.
Hello, sir.
How are you doing?
Doing well, good. Considering, you know.
We missed you last week.
Yeah, I missed me too.
Yeah, we missed in all the Grey Cup frivolity chats.
That's true. The revelry.
I know, that's what I was really...
The balderdash, the ballyhoo.
All of those words that I think mean the same thing, kind of.
Yeah, it's all... talk.
All right, perfect. Excellent. We need to get right to business because we have a season review to do this evening. A lot of business season wish list as well. And we welcome back into the Turf District this evening our favorite duo on the radio who don't know how to welcome our Mike Snipes.
Is this on?
Morley Scott.
This happens to me every time I come here. I end up banging the mics around. I'm sorry. Hi, how are you? Hello.
Standing. And, of course, Dave Campbell. Yes. Thank you for joining us, boys. How was the season in the booth for you guys?
It's fun. It was our 10th season.
Yeah, it was good. Had a
This is your 10th season?
10 years together now, yeah.
Wow. Holy cow.
It's always fun.
And you still sit beside each other. Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how not to, but yeah, we still...
Even on planes now, we're going to sit beside each other.
You can't do one up, one down in football, so it wouldn't really work.
No, that's true. Yeah, exactly. But overall, though, with the travel, all those types of things, was there a spot that was better this year? Is there anything that kind of went out of norm, or what did you find?
The end was kind of interesting. Well, no, let's back up. We had the long trip. We went to Ottawa and Hamilton with the team.
Yes.
That was interesting because I got sick. I had 3 straight nights of fevers in my Hamilton hotel room. That was the most boring trip I've ever had in my life. I don't think we saw each other we went to practice, and I'm hacking up a lung, and I felt so bad for Morley and Jerry because they had to listen to me for 2 hours straight hacking up a lung. So I'm like,
a long training.
I also felt bad for Morley and Jerry.
As you should.
No, it was good. It was
a good year. The big thing that from inside the booth, and it's kind of inside baseball, is we had really had some technical issues this year to deal with. The new stadium in Hamilton in particular, they don't have any phone lines in the press box. It's all internet broadcast, right? Okay. Which is great. Till the internet goes down.
Right.
So the game in Hamilton, the regular season game, we ended up doing probably almost 2 hours of it, the first 2 hours, the pregame show, and the first half of the first quarter on the phone, on my cell phone. So
really?
With an app we have. So yeah, it was trying. It was trying. But it was another good year. Another good year. It's always fun.
Couldn't tell on our end.
Good.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I think what's impressive is that I think we always try to find a way to add another layer to ourselves and what we do. And I think, at this point, I don't know what that is, but it always seems, and we really notice it the next year because we're like, oh yeah, well now look at what we're doing now. So I think that's cool, and the chemistry has always been there with us. It's no problem, but and even individually, I'm always trying to change how I do prep and what can I do better and what can I weed out and things like that. And then what's amazing is when we go into the booth, it's kind of like we have one brain all of a sudden. It's like, okay, he noticed that during the week, I noticed that during the week, and it's kind of fun how it comes together.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very
kind of
good.
like we're sharing a brain sometimes as well. That's a whole nother story.
We would know nothing of that.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing at all. Yeah,
No.
we never do that. Yeah. Morley, you got a chance to go down to the Grey Cup this year.
Yep.
How was your Grey Cup experience without your team there?
Yeah, it was weird. Although I did that last year, but last year was a little different because there's so much work involved,
And it was
with
here.
it in your town, right?
Yeah.
So no, it was interesting. Had a lot of fun. I went to my first Spirit of Edmonton breakfast.
Yes.
Which was a lot of fun. The festival grounds were really enjoyable because I think more than anything because the weather was so nice.
It was gorgeous. Yeah.
I remember my memory is the Friday afternoon, walking around, and I was interviewing some fans for the show that I was doing on the Saturday, and it was just spectacular. It was like 12 degrees, the sun was shining, and there are kids in t-shirts and shorts running around. It was just a spectacular afternoon. So I really enjoyed it, and I think and I think you guys saw it. I took the most iconic, for me anyway, CFL picture that tells me this is the CFL and it's Grey Cup week. I'm walking to the festival site and I'm walking by a bar and I look in and I see three guys at a bar.
Yeah.
And one guy's wearing a J.C. Sherritt jersey, one guy's wearing a Travis Lulay jersey, and one guy's wearing a Ron Lancaster jersey. And they're sitting at the bar with their backs to me. And I'm thinking, that's a CFL right there.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
It's three different teams, couple of generations. I don't know if those guys knew each other or not. I don't think they did because I actually later heard from the guy who was wearing the Lancaster jersey, heard from his wife, and she said he always makes his way to somebody's Twitter picture. So I don't know, but to me that's kind of one of my takeaways from the whole week is just seeing those three guys sitting at a bar talking football.
Awesome.
It's kind of cool.
Awesome. And that is what that week's about.
Right.
It's about just getting together and celebrating the game together. Doesn't matter who you cheer for or which guy you like. It's all just getting together. And that's outstanding. Dave, I know you weren't there, but I know you watched the big game. Mm-hmm. What was your thoughts on how that went?
I'm surprised, to be honest.
So was
I. Maybe I overvalued or overestimated Dane Evans, perhaps, and
Maybe.
that's unfair, probably to him to say that, because on the biggest stage he just didn't look like he was ready for it.
Right.
And the Bombers came out prepared, aggressive. I mean, you force 3 turnovers and they all end up in your end zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the game to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you got to give credit to that coaching staff led by Mike O'Shea, and there's been a lot of criticism levied towards him,
especially Richie Hall. Yes.
And Richie Hall, and they came out with a tremendous game plan, and it just shows you, good coaching staffs know how to be creative at the right time. And okay, so let's bring out 4 DNs out and see if they can block that, and they couldn't, and.
Yeah.
And I know Brandon Banks got hurt in the game. I don't think it would have made a world difference if he stayed healthy.
Yeah,
they
didn't look like it.
They were physically dominated at the line of scrimmage by the Bombers on both ends of the football.
Kind of shows you how important coaching is, because
absolutely,
to a certain extent, you get to the end of the season and you have to do what you do well and what you've done all season long, but you have to figure out a way to do something differently, and you have to surprise other teams with that. And I think the Bombers did that with their defense. They changed a few things, and all of a sudden the Ticats didn't know what was going on for the first 7 or 8 minutes of the first quarter. They were just smothered by a great defense that had the game plan in place. Just like go back to the Eskimos Eastern semifinal, where Jason Maas came out with a tremendous plan and a game plan, and they executed it perfectly, and that's what got them the lead, especially through the first half, and helped them to win that football game. Doing what you do well and what you've done all year, but you got to throw a little wrinkle in there just to keep everybody on their toes, which a lot of times if you don't do that, that'll cost you.
Well, and I said last week, too, I thought that the way the Eskimos played in the East Final, like in those first 3-4 drives, it just felt like this just wasn't the day. Like, they just weren't, it wasn't clicking, it wasn't going really well. Yeah. It was like, okay, maybe wasn't meant to be having an off day at the wrong time. Well, and it felt that way with Hamilton in the final.
Well, 2 turnovers didn't help, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to beat a 15-3 team, you can't give them 10 points off turnovers
no kidding.
On their first 2 drives.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and I think it's key too. When the Eskimos went into that East semi-final game, they had time to prepare because they had 2 games that
didn't matter.
Yeah. And even the coaching staff, even players, they admit after that was hard to get through.
Yes,
but it did give them some time. The coaching staff some time to evaluate Montreal a little bit.
Yes.
So you had a coaching staff that it was more experienced than the Alouettes, and it showed. Mm-hmm. And then you go into Hamilton with a more experienced coaching staff than the Eskimos, and it showed. Now, that being said, the Eskimos turned the ball over twice. If they didn't do that, it might be a tie game or a 3-point game at half, and then things maybe change. But
absolutely.
But it just shows you, if you give coaching staffs with experience time. And with Winnipeg, it was just Winnipeg and Hamilton, the Grey Cup, and they have the same amount of time, but it's just brilliant. They said, they sit down there and they go, let's try this. Let's throw out 4 defensive ends. Let's do things with Struveler. Let's do different things with Caleros. Let's have Darvin Adams throw a pass. Let's have Andrew Harris
throw the only TD in the game.
But it's impressive to me that
everybody knows he's running, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wait, yeah.
But you got to give Winnipeg credit. That's a veteran coaching staff.
Yeah,
that's been around for a long time. And when you look at coaching staffs, who's the best coaching staff in the league right now? When we've said it's Calgary, it's Winnipeg now.
Yeah.
It's Winnipeg. Hamilton's still up there, but it's Winnipeg as the best coaching staff in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. And that won them the game.
Yep.
It reminded me a bit of last year, where Hamilton had a great game versus BC and then not a great game at all versus Ottawa.
Right.
This year they had a great game versus us and then not a great game in the Grey Cup.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. And I mean, you could say the same thing. Ottawa had a great game then and then not in the Grey Cup, right?
And Trevor Harris.
Same kind of thing that happened this year. So, all right. Well, we are going to get to some actual Esks news, but before we do that, this episode is brought to you by the TELUS World of Science Edmonton, home of the Canadian debut of Marvel Universe of Superheroes, which is outstanding. Edmonton is the first and so far only city to host this display that features over 300 artifacts, including movie props and costumes that bring the Marvel world to life. Travel through the mysterious mirror dimension of Doctor Strange, digitally transform into Iron Man, and pose for selfies with Black Panther, Spider-Man, and other iconic Marvel characters. How many selfies did you take?
All of them.
That's what I thought.
It was a lot of fun. I loved it.
I know, it's amazing, right? So the exhibit runs until February 17th, and you can get your tickets at telusworldofscienceedmonton.ca. All right, now, big news last week. Well,
really?
big news as things... Well, actually, we should talk about the other news first. The 4-team mega ticket pack, because that was a huge news.
That's true.
Right?
Nobody was there.
Yes, it was.
You know what? I actually really like this. I like that it's $79. You get a ticket to an Eskimo game, Edmonton FC game, a Prospects game, a Stingers game. It's kind of cool to see the Edmonton teams kind of coming together and finding one way to try and get somebody out to all the different sports.
And the biggest issue in pro sports right now is selling tickets, right?
Absolutely.
And they got to work together to do it. So I think it's cool. I think it's great.
And
it's more. I think it'll be more beneficial for the 3 other guys rather than the Eskimos, because the Eskimos do already sell a lot of tickets, but they have to sell more, and if this helps them, it helps. I think it helps the Stingers and FC Edmonton and everybody a little bit more, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great deal. I will likely take advantage because I want to see those other 3 anyway. Yeah. So give me something to go and plus it's a reason to go and try the other sports in the city. So it's not just like if you're just an Eskimos fan, well then now you get a chance to try some of these other ones and see if you like those as well, right? So I really like the idea.
Eskimos president and CEO Chris Preston said today, we're kind of aligning with our competition, but we're all facing the same challenge.
Right.
So why don't we try and help each other for a short time here and see how it works?
Yeah.
And if it works, then we'll see it again. If it doesn't, well, they tried it.
Well, and I think they're only selling those packs until December 23rd or 9th? 29th.
23rd.
23rd, yeah. Okay. So it's, I thought it was 29 too.
I thought it was 29th in the release.
Yeah.
Well, they said 23rd at the news conference.
Oh, they did?
Okay, so we'll go with
maybe the release said something else. I don't know.
We'll go with 23rd. So you have
something. They're packaging it. They're packaging it as a stocking stuffer kind of deal.
Okay,
right.
So, perfect. Yeah.
So it's 3 weeks today. So
get that and 3 weeks. That's it. Oh, cheapers.
Oh, I'm screwed.
Better start shopping. Yeah, exactly. I got it. 3 weeks. I got 3 weeks.
Yay!
I don't have to start planning for at least another week and a half.
I don't have to do your Christmas shopping for another 3 weeks.
Exactly. Now, okay, so the real big news, Esks relieved Jason Maas of his coaching duties. I would say it has a lot to do with the continuing record over the past, 3 seasons. I mean, I think, and we talked about this on the Periscope, I could have argued it either way, to have him stay or have him go, because there was valid arguments on both sides. But Brock Sunderland decides to move ahead and try to find somebody new, and this will be his actual first coaching hire. So we'll go over a little bit more in depth. What did you think of the move? I know we all said we weren't surprised. Were you arguing it both ways, or where were you at with how all things went down?
Well, I think you can easily argue it both ways, and you could come up with a good argument both ways.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, right? If you argue it both ways, then you have an issue. Right. And I remember after the 2018 season, when there were a lot of criticism with Jason Maas and people were out for his head, I knew right away, there's no way they can let him go.
Right.
They have to see this through. Mike Riley's free agent status was a factor, but I remember how this team played against the Bombers in that final regular season game, and they played well for their coach, and I said, there's something here.
Yes.
Now, a lot of that roster changed, but you look at this year, and he was able to get them together quickly. Great start, 6-3, and then a 2-7 finish, and yes, in his final appearance. But what I didn't like was 2 straight collapses. And on the Periscope, Mike, you said 3. And there's an argument to that. I say 2017 was a lot to do with injuries, but it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It happened. And you could go the whole 4 seasons and say there's always been a mid-season dip.
Slump, yeah.
Yeah. And they were able to correct it in 16-17, 18-19, 19 a little bit, because they made the playoffs, made in these final. But that was a concern to me.
Right.
I think Jason Maas is a good coach, and I think he was starting to figure things out, and I still think there were things he was still figuring out.
Yes.
For me, I don't know if Brock Sunderland wanted to take the risk going forward that if I give him another year, then what if we're in the same boat? So it's easy to fish and cut bait, even though it's not easy. I mean, this wasn't easy for Brock Sunderland at all to do. This was,
I think so.
Morley and I saw the look on his face when he was doing the post podium interview with us, that he looked sick to his stomach. So this was a hard move for him because he let a good man go. But it's the business.
Yeah, it's great game, crappy business. They say it all the time, right? So I think it was a real tough decision for Sunderland to make, but you can't ignore the last 2 seasons, especially, and the record. I mean, 500, 2 games under 500. Those 2 seasons, I think, and as Sunderland said at the news conference, he felt they underachieved those 2 years. They had a better team than the record shows, and I agree with them. I think they're a better team than their record was this year. For whatever reason, things, and I'm kind of in the what-if camp. I wonder what we're all talking about today if Trevor Harris didn't get hurt in late August, right? Very true. I mean, they were, and go back to that game, they were playing against Winnipeg. They were 6-2 at the time going into the game. Yep. Yeah. They ended up losing the game to fall to 6-3, but they're 6-2 going into the game. They led the league in almost every offensive category. Yep. They led the league in almost every defensive category. The only, and again, we'll harp on it probably, but the only category they didn't lead in was the red zone, where they struggled all year, right? But they were putting up numbers. I mean, they were first in first downs, first and second down conversion. They were putting up yards in the air, yards on the ground. Everything was going pretty well. And then Willie Jefferson strip sacks Trevor Harris, and something happened. And he wasn't the same the rest of the game. He wasn't the same the next game, and pulled himself out of the game after that and missed the next 4. And you got to wonder what would have happened. I mean, he was on target for 6,000 yards on target. He was being talked about as the MOP. He was the best player in the league at that point, right?
Yeah. By a long shot, really.
I'm really in the what-if camp. Like, what if he didn't get hurt? What are we talking about today?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're talking about a Grey Cup championship or not, but we're talking about better than 8-10, I think.
Oh, yeah. I would agree.
We're talking about at least a home playoff game.
Yes.
Which is something that, and sadly, business comes into it, too.
Yes.
And they never got any playoff revenue out of Jason Maas and his coaching tenure, right?
Yeah,
which
made it to 3 finals, all in other barns.
And he won 3 playoff games, but he won them all on the road, right. So that's part of it too. But yeah, I'm a big what if guy in this situation. I know you can't change anything, and I know it still ends up being 8-10, and they still end up doing the crossover, and they still end up getting beat pretty bad against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But still, you got to wonder.
And I think it does come down to, like you said, if this was a what-if business, we're probably having a completely different conversation. But because it's this is the actual record, this is the actual fact.
You got to win.
That's yeah, exactly.
Yep. And I know there's a lot of talk about how much the players like Jason Maas.
Absolutely.
Right? And I don't deny that at all. The players really like Jason Maas. They should have won more games for him then. They wanted to keep coaching. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a harsh way or not pointing fingers at anybody, but they didn't win enough games to keep their coach.
Yeah.
So how much, I know they liked him, but they didn't win enough games.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting that if you were to compare the current Grey Cup winning head coach's record over his first 4 years to Jason Maas's record, Maas has a better record.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He has a better record in the regular season. He has a way better record in the postseason. And look where they are now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well,
and that was my one thing about keeping him was that 2 years ago we all said that with Mike O'Shea, right? He's going to be gone. 5 games into the season, they're saying he's going to be gone, and turns the whole thing around, and now Grey Cup champs bringing it back, right? So there's a lot to say for the consistency, and that's the part that you want to see that. You want to see the progression, and I think we weren't seeing the progression. I think that's probably part of the reason.
I would agree with that. I think Jason Maas, as good of a coach that he is, good of a relatable guy that he is in an offensive mind, I thought Jason Maas had a lot of trouble seeing his own reality or seeing things how they really are.
Right.
And he's very positive.
Yeah.
One of the most positive people I've ever spoken to. And that's good.
Yes.
But that can also cloud your judgment.
Sure.
And
fair.
If 7-8 things didn't happen, they would be a good football team. They would score that touchdown. They would win that football game. That's not how it works, though. You have to deal
happen, or it didn't happen.
You have to deal with results.
Yeah.
It's results. It's the old Vince Lombardi line. There are 5 plays that usually determine why a team wins or loses a football game.
Right.
And you can't change those 5 plays. And you can't go back and lament them and say, well, if this happened, then we would have won. Right. No, you deal with why you didn't.
True.
And if you won, you find out why. And then, yes, you still fix your mistakes. But that's what I really think Jason Maas struggled with, was seeing things for how they were or how they are. And I do think in-game adjustments he struggled with. Because, and even you look at, we're talking 6-3 starts, we're talking good starts for most of the season, 7-0 starts.
Yep.
And then injuries factor in 2017, but in a general sense, the team start adjusting to you. Right. You got to hit back.
You got to change it around.
And this team, and I think, honestly, under his watch, under Jason Maas's watch, it was we're a run what we run team.
Yeah.
No, you have to adapt. And he was very slow at doing it. What we saw at the end of the season in 19 was a much better Jason Maas as far as adapting to and being more innovative.
He did things that were not done before, that he hadn't done before, like bringing Calvin McCarty.
Right.
Like, use the big guys from the D-line as fullbacks. Yeah. Trick plays with DeVaris Daniels throwing a ball downfield.
When they did that is not
what he had done in the previous 4 years as coach, right?
Yes.
That didn't seem what I liked about him is he knew what worked, and he was convinced that his team could do it and produce the results. And for the most part they did.
Right.
But he did it with great conviction, but sometimes it didn't work, but he just kept going back at it. Kept going back at it.
Right.
Even the field goal before the touchdown, like he said after that game, he said, I would do it again.
And then
he did it again. And then he did it again. And then he did it again. I think there was 3 more times kind of the same situation happened in the regular season after the 2017 Western Final. So that's one thing I do like about him, his conviction, but all coaches have to, be willing to change at times and adapt with things. And this year he did it more than any other year.
Right.
And
he's
had some
growing
success with
as
it
a
down
coach.
the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your feeling in general on? Because I know this is the thing that was brought up a lot was the discipline. Is that a factor? Or is it really the record? Or do we really have to talk about that? That's the part that I think some people want to talk about it because, in my opinion, I think Maas was painted bad because he had a couple of bad bursts in his first season and a half. And I think this season he did very, very well. But any moment that it was slightly over, it was right on him.
Everybody brings up the headset.
I was going to say, but TSN was pushing that storyline.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's what just kind of got me. Is it's like TSN had a camera guy who was dedicated to Jason Maas.
Right.
Every time they were going to focus on him, if he walked by a Gatorade jug, God forbid, it's like something's going to happen, or if he touched his headset, anything. They were just waiting for an explosion.
The headset thing was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And people still talk about it like it happened yesterday.
Yep.
The Gatorade jug thing was 2 years ago.
Yep.
And they talk about it like it happened the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
He got painted with a bad brush. And again, as I said, that perception's not always reality. And I think the perception of Jason, he's passionate and he gets angry.
Yeah.
But
he's not the only one.
Other coaches do. And I think because it's good TV, and I don't know.
It's easy TV. To me, it's almost low-hanging fruit.
They had a camera guy on him all the time, and it's like, I think he's going to blow. Okay, cut to Jason Maas, right? And you see, so I'll say it, if they showed every coach as much as they showed Jason Maas, you'd probably see you'd probably have different perceptions of other coaches as well in the Canadian Football League.
Yep. I think, I actually saw it this year when Maas threw a challenge flag. Well, there was the one on the Duron Carter where, any coach would have lost. Like, everybody in the stadium was like, yeah, go ahead, lose your mind, because you should be. That's ridiculous, right?
Phantom.
But the part, when you watch the game afterwards, yes, he throws it, and then he picks it up, and he throws it in the garbage, and he's upset. And
that was funny.
It was funny, yeah. But then, as they were cutting to commercial, they went back to Maas, and because he was over talking to the ref, and I'm sure they were trying to get another one of those freak out moments. But what you heard as then it surprisingly faded to black a lot quicker than I thought it would, was Maas going, okay, but just tell me, that's never been a call in another game before, right? But this one now it is, and he was being completely rational, but having the conversation with the ref to set up for the next play. But that part doesn't come across, right?
Well, the funny thing to me is a name that gets brought up a lot as a potential future head coach here is Paul LaPolice.
Right.
He's extremely passionate. He can also slam a headset down. 2009 being a great example. Yeah. To be fair.
Yeah, that was a little different. Yeah,
but still, that's the image people have of the 2009 13th Man is Lapo taking his headset and he was livid.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so are we going to have that again all of a sudden?
Yeah. Well, no, because they love LaPolice.
Yeah, so it's true.
It'll be fun. just ask anybody.
That Lapo, he's just passionate.
He's a passionate guy. Yeah, it's all good. All right. Well, I think we beat that to death. We can talk a little bit about
like everyone else,
like any Gatorade jug. Anyway,
let me just say the final word for me is everything that everyone 4 years ago when they hired Jason Maas, everything that everybody loved about him is the same thing that people didn't like about him at the end.
Oh, that's fair.
When you think about it, right?
Yep.
They all loved his passion, his commitment, his fire, everything, right? Oh, I remember when he was a quarterback and he was on the sidelines yelling at the offensive lineman. That really got him going, and then they went and won the game, right? Well, he does, what did you expect? He's Jason Maas. Yeah. He loves football. He loves the Esksmas, and more than anything else, he loves to win.
Yes,
and
it makes me it makes my stomach turn when I hear people say, oh, Jason Maas is passionate, or Jason Maas is a hothead, and they basically think he's a stupid idiot.
Right.
And it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts when I hear it, not necessarily from analysts or things like that. The trolls that are out there, you all suck anyway. And if you want to come at me,
he says that with love, though.
Of course.
No, not really. You all suck. Legitimately suck. Because you people would not be happy with anything.
Not say you people.
You people who are trolls.
That's it.
I hear the fire truck warming up.
But no, those are the people that they be 18-0, win a Grey Cup, and there's still something wrong with them, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and look, this was a man who got fast-tracked as a head coach
Very
because
much so.
Ed Hervey saw something in him.
And we needed a coach.
And we needed a coach because Chris Jones bolted. And so Jason Maas was fast-tracked and, you know, put together a pretty good coaching staff in each of his 4 seasons. And we saw some pretty exciting football here.
Yep, absolutely.
And,
Especially on offense, yeah.
yeah, and we saw a man that really, really cared about this community and about this football team. Does that win you games? No. But I'm going to get a little personal here and say this was a man that loves this city and
Yes.
loves the Eskimos and bleeds green and gold. And that's what makes it sad for me that
Yeah.
this had to end. And the person coming in will probably not have an Eskimo tie. The GM doesn't have one. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's
Yeah.
fine. 'Cause it's winning.
Yes.
But it's weird, it's strange. But I hate when people just dump on a guy for losing.
Right.
There's lots of people in this business that lose that are good coaches.
Everybody except one coach loses, ultimately.
Yeah, yeah. In the long run, yes. Yeah.
So, you know, I just I'm a little gutted for Jason when it comes to that because this ends for
Yeah.
him here. And does he ever come back at some capacity? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, that's what's sad. And that probably factored into why Rick Campbell didn't come back here because I think he said, I'm going to just go to a place where I know the GM and I know the president and I know the community and I know the team, but I'm not someone that's going to have a big ass spotlight on my
massive shadow.
sideline because a lot of people hated Rick Campbell when he was here.
Yep.
Right, yes.
The players didn't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And there's a little Batman line, you know, that I think Alfred told Bruce Wayne that some people just want to see the world burn.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And there's some sports fans that are like that too.
Sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
Not happy unless you're unhappy.
Yeah. What? Yeah. All right. Well, that was a fun conversation.
It was.
That was excellent. Okay. Well, let's take a really quick break, and then we're going to come back with a little more breakdown of the team, and then some of our wish list for the coming season.
This is Trevor Harris, and you're listening to the Eskimos Empire Podcast.
You can join the Empire online.
Find us at eskempire.ca.
Check out all the new blogs and then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
For more history, follow at Esks History on Twitter.
And even more of my pics on Esk Empire Photo.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to help the pod grow. Thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back. This week, I'd like to direct you to the Work Not Work podcast. Ever see someone in a dream job and wonder how they got there? This pod is all about those people and their stories. Host Terrence Gannon interviews a wide range of people from pathologists, filmmakers, beer writers, and purveyors of mascots. There's a title that you want to have. Purveyors of mascots.
Wow.
That sounds like fun.
I want to be a purveyor of anything.
Gin?
I do want to be a purveyor of something.
Okay, excellent. That's good. All right. Turn your passion into your profession with the Work Not Work podcast. You can find all the links on Alberta Podcast Network. .com. All right. Let's talk about the team from this year outside of the coach. Let's start on the offense. I think overall, and I think you said this earlier, Morley, like if Harris hadn't got hurt, he would have put up enormous numbers this year as far as the top quarterback in the league.
He was trending that way for sure. Yeah, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but you can't complain too much about the offense this year, really.
No.
Except for
other than
not scoring enough touchdowns.
Right.
Yes. They moved the ball between the 20s better than any team in the league. And I take those numbers up until Harris got injured.
Right.
Because obviously those numbers slowed a little bit with Logan Kilgore.
6-2 is a hell of a record at that point, right?
Yeah. And the offense, I think, was real good.
And you know what, though? Actually, I just had this thought when you were talking earlier about Jason and his conviction. You could tell he did that because when Kilgore went in, he tried to run the exact same offense with Kilgore that he did with Harris, and that's that did not work as well. The long ball, Harris is very good at. Well, let's leave it at that. Harris throws for 4,000 yards, 16 TDs to 6 interceptions. That's a good year. And if you could put in a few more games like that, it would have been a monster year.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's really anything that we have to say other than, like you said, the red zone production obviously wasn't there. Thank goodness we have another bright spot in Shaun White being one of the highlights of the year.
Tremendous.
I'm still shocked that he didn't get into some of the. I mean, don't get me wrong, Castillo had a good year too, but man, oh man, Shaun White just pounded it this year.
I think a lot of times kickers get penalized for kicking a lot of field goals.
Right.
Because
it means you're not scoring touchdowns?
Yeah, and I think that's just a general negative feel, which is wrong, because he had 2 7-field goal games this year.
Yeah, against the same team.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Well, the 2 games against the Bombers, the Eskimos scored 49 points, and Shaun White accounts for 43 of them.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So, there you go. And I think we were talking about it, up in the booth during practices, and, when it was award voting season, I said, you can make an argument that Shaun White is the second MOP on this team.
Right.
Oh,
because you have a first ballot and a second, or first choice, second choice. And I debated a long time to put Shaun White as my second choice.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair shot, actually.
Yeah.
It used to track how many, who led the league in points. They haven't done it for a long time.
They don't do that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, they break it up now to kickers' points and
Right.
non-kickers' points, too. Yeah.
To kind of,
Because kickers always won every year, but...
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's just go around the table then and say one player that really stood out to you on the offense this year. Start with you, Dave.
I really liked the game Greg Ellingson
Yes.
had. I thought...
Had the catch of the year in mind. Well, pretty close to. That Burnham catch was ridiculous, but that Superman catch in the end zone of Ellingson was unreal.
Yeah, it's too bad he only had 5 touchdowns, but he was a real key in a lot of games and moving the football, and he's just such a savvy, crafty receiver, and he's quicker than people give him credit for. So had good chemistry with Trevor Harris, and struggled a bit with Logan Kilgore, but that last game they played against the Lions together before Harris came back for that game against Saskatchewan, had over 100 yards and looked good. I thought he was just steady Eddie out there, or steady Ellie.
Steady Ellie.
he was very, very positive.
Thanks, Matt Dunnigan. Yeah,
you're welcome.
Excellent.
Yeah,
that's very nice. Morley,
if we're picking just one guy, I think I would go with Ricky Collins Jr.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because he exceeded everybody's expectations, I think, and I think Brock Sunderland deserves a lot of credit for that signing. Not only did he sign with a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
One of the you don't see many 3-year deals anymore.
No,
right? So
you can buy a Collins jersey.
Yeah, that's right. You can wear it for 2 more years.
That's right. Least. Yeah, exactly.
He had a breakout year. 1,000 yards and got really involved. I think the thing he's got to work on now is his consistency over an 18-game stretch, because he had games where he had 170 yards and he had games where he had 22 yards, right? But that's often what the defense is allowing, right? And that's what Trevor Harris is so good at. Honorable mention to Natea J and / Tavon Smith. Right. Canadian spot. I really loved the progress those 2 guys made this year, especially Nate, who, everyone just, he's a special teamer, right? But I don't know what he finished up, 500 yards or something.
Led the league in offense in 3 games.
He had a really good year. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick.
I'll kind of go a little off the board, and I'm going to go with a guy that didn't play a lot. In the first half of the season, I thought he had a great game, was Tommy Drahan.
Yes, absolutely.
Coming in at a spot that was everyone had written in pen, Sir Vincent Rogers.
Yep.
Who gets injured in camp, doesn't play at all for the season, and Tommy came in, and that left side was pretty outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the O-line as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe they did. Now, here you want to talk about trying to find stats. They did give up the least amount of sacks in the league, right? Yeah, that's what I thought it was, but I couldn't find the actual number.
25.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm trying to find it on the CFL website. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
First half of the season was 3.
Oh, I know. It was ridiculous.
Like, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
And we were getting a lot of yards on the ground. Like, we were doing a lot of good things.
Yes, absolutely. And again, if we go back to what if, and I'm not trying to slam Logan Kilgore here, but Trevor Harris gets the ball out so much faster that number would have been a lot less. Because I believe a couple of those higher games were when Kilgore was in.
Well, yeah, he was sacked.
2 Hamilton games, right?
Yes.
4 times each.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 times in the 2 games. So
that, I think Trevor Harris was only sacked, 6-8 times this year?
Yeah.
Like, out of the 25 is really low number.
Yeah, very. It's and him getting the ball out so fast definitely helps with that. So, I'm going to agree with you, Mike. I was going to go with David Beard. I thought that not that he didn't show well last year, but I thought this year coming into that role as the incumbent didn't crumble under the pressure. I thought he actually led that line very well. Definitely better with Matt O'Donnell beside him. I think they're almost like a tandem captain of the offensive line. And for the amount of changes that they did in there to still only have such a low number in sacks, I got to give him some credit in there. I thought,
and this was the year there were actually expectations on him this year too.
Exactly,
they lived up to them all. And I went at the end of the year when it was balloting time. I went to Coach Gibson, the O-line coach, and I said to him, "I got to vote soon. Give me your thoughts on your best offensive line." And I didn't get the full word out, and he said David Beard.
Yeah,
right. So it was clear in a way. He was the guy who kind of was the swizzle stick for that group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think he missed part of one game at the end, and that was it.
But that was it. He was the only guy up to that point that had played every game.
Played every game, yeah, exactly.
And that line changed a lot. And when you had, again, Draheim was there, and then that left tackle spot rotated a bunch of players.
Yeah, absolutely. Saxley
Bond was in there.
And
Matt O'Donnell.
Yeah, for a while. And it's like everybody went all over the place there.
Everyone except Sir Vincent Rogers. Played left tackle.
Hopefully he'll play next year. We'll see how that goes. Yeah,
he's got a 2 or 3 year deal.
I think it was 2.
I think it's 2.
Yeah. So, and I do want to, you already mentioned it, Morley, but I also want to give a shout out to Tavon Smith, because to me, at the beginning of the season, I thought there was a ton of pressure on him, but as the season went on, it was just like, holy, he is getting better and better. And I knew he was going to get there. And one of my favorite stories from this season is I was watching an away game at like one of the away watch parties. And I was sitting with Tree, and she said, "Oh, you know that Tavon Smith, like he's never really impressed me." And I'm like, "No, he's going to be the next 3 plays, like all Tavon touchdown." Like it's like, yep, that's right.
He became a touchdown machine at the end of the year.
Absolutely,
I can't remember what the numbers were, but I think he had like 5 touchdowns in the last 7 games or something like that.
Oh yeah, no, my fantasy help thanked him very much. Yeah, it was great.
Got off to a bit of a slow start, and I think he had some drops, and I don't think his route running was great to start the year, but last third to a half a season, he really came on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the tough part now. That's the worst thing with the CFL, right? He had a great year. Now you got to wait out that NFL window he has.
Absolutely.
And see if he has any interest in signing in the NFL or not.
Yeah. Hopefully he's back. So, all right, defensive side of the ball. Superfan, I'll start with you this time. We'll go around the other way.
Oh, scary.
I'm trying to make it fair.
That's fair.
The defense overall was actually pretty good, I would say.
Oh, I would say so.
Yeah, it was.
Certainly the front 7.
Front 7 was the strength of the football team.
Absolutely.
Strength.
Yeah.
Most consistent.
Secondary.
Yeah, I mean, it had its moments.
Hit and miss.
Although, they never got to play this year. They never got to play the guys they wanted to play in the positions they wanted them to play in.
That's true.
Because they got in, they had so many injuries and had to move guys around. Josh Johnson started every position except for safety. Right?
But he was amazing.
And they just couldn't get guys in that position where they had, here's our 5 guys. Let's go play football.
Yeah,
and they decide that, and then in day 3, somebody get hurt, and they'd have to move, 2 guys around to make up for it.
That's true. That is a good point. I thought, and I know you said this in the Periscope, Mike, but having those when they finally got together, the 3 linebackers, pretty incredible to watch those 3 guys play together.
Oh, yeah. I thought Santos Knox was, everything he was advertised to be.
Absolutely.
Great run stopping.
Yeah.
He just had a nose for that ball, and he was there. I mean, stopping guys on third down conversions, and just incredible. But to me, Larry Dean was the star of that defense.
Yeah.
He's what held it all together.
Would you agree?
Oh, totally. And, he's not flashy.
No.
And he's one of the most mellow guys ever. When you talk to him, it's are
Indeed.
you? Wow, holy! You were just like, wait. I was waiting for the excitement, and it was just like, whoa, this is a really slow conversation. I mean, great conversation, but just
He flows to the football so naturally.
Yeah.
And he is always in the right spot. And I'm hard pressed to think the times where someone got by him, a receiver got by him. Right,
not match or running back,
or that he was in trail position. Right, it happened, but it didn't happen very often. He's just a steady football player.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts on you, Namba?
Tough start, obviously, with the injury. Didn't think he came on until about maybe the game against Hamilton at home, or no, the game against Calgary at home, the Labor Day rematch game. Then I finally saw him being more comfortable and kind of.
He had flashes up before then, but solid game. Yeah.
He struggled, I think, when he came back from injury, and same with Anthony Orange.
Very much so.
Yeah, but then it just the picks. I almost said pick six. The pick against Bo Levi Mitchell in the Labor Day rematch game early, which set up the Trevor Harris touchdown. Then we said bye, Trevor, for a few weeks. That was kind of the Don Yanamba that we expected.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
He's a playmaker.
Even the picks in the first game and the preseason, right? It's just like, this guy is going to be amazing.
What a start he had.
And then nothing.
That was spectacular.
It was just, what a way to start. Yeah. And then, and even in training camp, when we'd watch him come flying through there, and he's like, holy, if he didn't have to slow up, that guy would be going to the hospital, because that was just crazy quick. So, I'm excited to have, them healthy and hopefully back. I guess there's a lot of 1-year deals there. So I guess we'll see how that turns out. Thanks so much, CBA. Yeah, that's good. All exciting last year. Well, you know what? This is the thing I'm going to say about that. Brock did it last year. He can do it again. That's where I'm going to go with that. All right. One guy off the defense that stands out to you. Superfan, go.
Yeah, I went with Larry Dean.
Okay.
I think that he was the straw that stirred that drink, and as he went, it seemed like the side of the team went.
Yep, I would agree. Morley?
Vontae Diggs.
Ooh.
Interesting choice.
I really liked watching him play this year. Really enjoyed watching
great story.
Play. Great story. And it was kind of neat. I know you were talking about Javon Santos-Knox earlier. I love how those two mesh. And again, going back to those commercial breaks with Jason Moss during the coaches show, we talk about injured guys sometimes, about when they're coming back. And he kept talking about Javon Santos-Knox and how good he is and what a playmaker he is. And I kept saying, yeah, but you got a guy there who's making plays right now. And he kept saying, don't worry about it. This guy is going to make you, a believer out of you, right? And, I've seen him play before, obviously, for 2 years, but when you see him play every day, and he was right. Like, when he came in, he had a great finish to the year for, like, the 3 or 4 games he played.
Right.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for Vontae Diggs because, he's a Rookie of the Year material.
Absolutely.
And, he had to be shuttled to the sidelines, but it's because it was for a better player, right? Which is what you want, right? But Vontae Diggs is the guy I really enjoyed. Him and Josh Johnson, to me, are the two guys, but Vontae Diggs more so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almondo Sewell.
Not a bad pick at all. Yeah.
Your only CFL All-Star.
Yeah. Again. Yeah, exactly.
And it might seem like the safe pick, but I didn't think Mondo had the best of seasons in 2018. I thought he struggled at times. And I thought there was some flashes early that I don't know if he's got. Is he slowing down? Does he have the power? Does he have the strength, the quickness? Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does. There's a few times he made people look silly up the middle. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at interior linemen or defensive tackles in this league, I mean, who's better than him right now? Dylan Wynn, you could argue. Mm-hmm. But Mondo was the top 2, top 3.
But Mondo makes the guy beside him better every year.
And
and before him, Jake Ceresna.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Jake Ceresna to the NFL is what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Ceresna's back. So
not saying that they're bad players, obviously.
Exactly. No, that's right.
Yeah.
It's just when you have to double team Mondo every snap, you're leaving somebody free.
For sure.
Mike Moore had a great season, and part of that is due to the fact that he was beside Mondo.
Ask our good buddy Eddie Steele how much of a better player Mondo made him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Eddie's good.
I'm just thinking off the top of my head, the guy who led the team in sacks the last 2 years played beside Mondo. Right?
Yep.
In Ceresna last year and this year Mike Moore. So there's something to that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to it, actually. I was going to actually go with Josh Johnson. That was he was the guy that played everywhere, and I thought he played everywhere well. And
watching him coach up other guys too, that was amazing.
And see, that was the thing I was going to. I know you and I had talked about it during the season, but his coaching, even like for as many troubles as Money Hunter had. He has out of this world speed, and I think he can cover a guy very well. And when Johnson was with him on that side, that was the time that he played the cleanest. Like he played more to what we had expected, and I think that was because of the leadership of Josh Johnson. And so I do want to give him some credit for that. I think that I really liked the way he played everywhere, and I loved in the semifinal where he came in for Money Hunter and then just absolutely dominated that game with 3 interceptions. And I mean, pretty hard to forget that when a guy stands out like that. So.
Yep. We know he won't be a receiver though.
No.
That's why he's.
I really. That was spectacular that he got the 3 interceptions. But man, he got his hands on a lot of footballs during the year and could not squeeze it.
He had 9 drops this year.
A lot of pushes.
So many times he'd get the knockdown and then he'd be on the turf and he'd be banging his hands on the turf because he knew he should have had it.
Don't hurt your hands.
They already can't catch. Don't hurt them. Jeez, don't make it worse. All right, special teams.
Sean White. Thanks.
Yep.
Move on.
That was pretty easy. Yeah, it does. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I found this very interesting. How many years has it been since we've had a bona fide returner?
Since Jason Maas has been head coach.
Even further than that.
Well, yeah, a bona fide return, okay. I'm thinking like a return touchdown. So, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 years.
You got to go all the way back to what? Winston October, right? Like that's probably the last one.
Consistently, yes.
Well, maybe Tristan Jackson in the middle, kind of.
He had
These
a year
are fringe
and a half.
guys, though. Like Tony Tompkins, fringe guy. Kendall Lawrence, fringe guy.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Joe Burnett.
Very fringe guy.
There's guys like Burnett and Kendall Lawrence and those guys who had some success.
Yeah,
but there wasn't a guy who every time the ball was in the air, you just said, wait a second, I just got to watch this.
Right.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a guy like that for a long time.
It's so
you
bad.
had guys who could do it,
Yes.
but you didn't have guys who would do it on a regular basis.
Every other
you
team
had a
had
chance
one.
to do it every time they touched the ball.
It's so bad that every time the Eskimos have a punt return for a touchdown, I go, crap.
Yeah.
Now Eskimo Twitter will be ablaze, and people will be saying, we finally found a returner.
Yeah, no.
Yes, he scored a touchdown in freaking preseason. That doesn't mean anything.
Jordan Robinson.
It was one. Yeah, how many returners did Montreal have that returned touchdowns this year? Was it 3?
Yeah.
So I don't understand how we can go that many years and can't find one dude that can do this with some type of regularity.
It is,
and other teams can find 2 or 3 in a year.
And it's
ridiculous.
Probably 4 general managers
Easy
who have tried to find a guy. And I'll give Brock credit. He's brought in 2 of the best.
Yeah,
in
Christian
the last
Jones
couple of years.
was good this year.
Martise Jackson had
first
success in Toronto.
Martise Jackson and then Christian Jones. And it just, injuries obviously set them both back this year. But, it's a mystery how they cannot find a guy.
I think it's scheme. I mean, Jason Maas has had interviews with you guys where he talked about his priority is just making sure they don't turn over the ball on special teams. Mm-hmm. So that's his focus, not breaking one and occasionally...
Well, it got to the point in the playoff game, what was that, 16, 17, where Zylstra was returning kicks and the instructions were basically catch the ball and fall down.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't fumble it. That's right?
So you're not going to get returns if your focus is just not to turn it over.
I think Moss's last season and a half, he realized, we need better in the return game.
Yeah.
We need to actually. Well, the thing is with all of the Maas offenses, could you imagine if they regularly started on the 40 instead of their own 20?
For
Like,
sure,
how many more touchdowns do we have, right?
For
Like
sure.
it's
That's part of the red zone problem, maybe.
broken record. Yeah.
And Christian Jones was just starting to come into his.
Yeah,
into his
absolutely.
game. He was really playing well
Right.
the last couple of weeks before he got hurt. So
Yeah.
it's a tough break.
That's a tough one. All right, so then last area I just want to talk about Canadian growth. We talked about Tavon Smith
Yep.
making big strides.
Nate being better.
Nate definitely being a lot better. Any other on the Canadian front that kind of jump out to you this season? Wait, I need to start with Morley.
Morley.
This time to be fair.
Now we're being fair. Well, Quaco continues to get better.
Absolutely.
Quaco continues to get better. And
Absolutely.
I'm just waiting for Arjun Colhoun.
If he could just stay healthy.
I mean, he's got speed, he's got
flashes
smarts, he's got
are there,
skill,
right?
But he's got that thoroughbred body, I think, that some athletes get, that they just get little things bug them and they just can't get it straight. I mean, he did pretty well this year. He made it over half the season without getting on the 6th game, and then he's back on it. I mean, he's such an important part if he can play.
Yep.
You know, because obviously he's Canadian and
a
a ratio breaker.
buster.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, he's those are the guys that come to my mind. But I think especially the two receivers to me are the big Canadian improvements this year.
That's good. That's perfect.
I'm going to go off the board here and say Tanner Green.
Ooh, that is a good pick, actually.
Excellent pick.
When Tanner Green was out of the lineup, that affected their special teams, that affected short yardage.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a smart kid.
Yeah.
He's a smart kid who could be
Here for
this team's
years.
fullback for a while.
Okay. Excellent pick. Excellent pick.
As a general overview of the Canadians, we started 9 Canadians in the East semifinal and East final.
Yeah.
That says a lot about our depth and growth at the NI position.
Yes.
If I'm going to pick some guy that I thought did better than I expected, and I am looking forward to seeing him next year, it's Kyle Saxon.
Yeah, I knew you were going to pick that. I set that one up
Canadian.
for you.
Was that?
We said Canadian.
National.
Yeah, but he's that's a big asterisk.
He's a Ben Cahoon Canadian.
He's Singleton Canadian. Yes, but
he
still.
he had never been to Canada until he came up for the combine.
Yeah.
in Toronto. Never even been to Canada.
Yeah.
But
he counts.
He's just there's Canadians and there's CFL Canadians, and he's a CFL Canadian.
That's
for
right.
sure.
Yes.
They all count the same.
That is correct.
But
that is correct.
again, for a guy that's coming out of the Canadian draft, holy crap, did he play well?
Sure did.
Yeah.
I thought he played very well. I mean, there's a couple of games where he had a rough go, but mostly, I mean...
For a raw rookie at the most visible position on that line?
Yeah, I can't wait to see him play
finished
more.
up the year at tackle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to have a Canadian tackle that's a gold mine, right?
That is.
Right?
Quick story. Saxon had his first start against the Montreal Alouettes in Montreal in that high humidity game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't believe I could breathe after that game. But he started at right guard because Matt O'Donnell got hurt the previous week in Vancouver against the Lions, and Saxon came in at right guard and looked great.
yes.
And then got humbled in that Montreal Alouettes
for
game.
sure.
Yeah.
And Mike Gibson, I talked to him afterwards, and he said he took that real personal.
Did he?
And we saw him take his medicine against Willie Jefferson and the Bombers at home.
Oh, yeah.
And then we don't see him for a while. Spot duty here and there. I think he had
Sixth
one.
man.
Yeah. And then he came back into the lineup, and, I mean, he was excellent.
Yeah.
He was excellent. So high ceiling for that kid.
Absolutely.
And let's not write off any offensive lineman who gets beat bad by Willie Jefferson.
No.
No.
It's very true. Ask the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Ask every team.
Oh yeah. That's very true. The one I'm going to put in there, I thought, although we didn't see him a whole lot, I really liked seeing some of the stuff from Godfrey Onyeka. Mm-hmm. I thought in that last game where he started on the corner, I thought he played very well. I
didn't hear his name a lot, which says a lot of good things.
Exactly.
He had one target the first game he started, right? Not one ball thrown his way, which means he's covering his guy.
He's covering his guy.
He had a really good training camp, too. That's why he got to start out of camp ahead of Arjun Colhoun, because he had such a good training camp.
Yep. Yeah.
Jason Maas wanted to reward him for that. So he did, and he played pretty well. And then when Colhoun was completely healed and healthy, he got back in.
Yeah.
So he had a good year.
I'm
a great
looking
tandem.
forward. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. And I think we should actually say, although not completely star, but strides definitely. Jordan Hoover at the safety position had made a lot of good strides this year. I think.
How about Matthew Betts too?
I was going to ask what you guys thought of him. Yeah.
He had a great start, right?
Yeah.
But then he didn't put up many numbers until, I think, in the playoffs he had some numbers.
Right.
Like he had the strip sack and the fumble recovery in his first game, and then he didn't put up any numbers after that, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean he didn't play well. He just didn't put up any numbers. And I'm looking forward to seeing him once he gets to a comfort level that, like he's not learning and it's all, he gets the reps and he's, goes through a training camp and he doesn't join a team, at the halfway mark of the season. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play because clearly there's something there.
If he comes back stronger,
can we do
I think
that?
that'll help him.
I mean, then you've got 2 Canadian starting quality defensive ends.
Well, that's their problem.
But you have to have backups for that position, right?
For us
and then throw Steph Charles in there too.
Exactly.
You could at
tackle.
one point you could have 3 Canadians on your D line.
You run a 3-4, you could have an entirely Canadian starting defensive line, not offensive line.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But and we've said it many times, a 3-4 and some of the guys they have in this defense would be unreal. You could even put Betts as that
outside
linebacker because he's like that perfect size and be the guy just you never know which guy's coming.
Kwaku was like that a couple years, but not now.
Kwaku's definitely a lineman now.
But gentlemen, we don't know what this team will look like.
You don't.
What?
In May. We don't know.
That's true. Yes.
In January.
There's a few things that will cherry it up. All right, let's talk about our wishes then for the business season.
Some 2020 vision.
Absolutely. So the first and foremost is who takes over for Maas. There's lots and lots of guys out there, candidates out there, names being thrown around like La Police, Killam out of Calgary. I know Elizondo was talked about and then maybe not so much, but who knows? It's a possibility. There's still lots of talk even about Marcel Belfay, who is a scout with the team now, if that's going to be another option. I just want to say, please, Eskimos, Macca, don't. But other than that, then whatever. I
Brock
trust
hears
Brock.
you.
Yeah, okay, good, absolutely.
We know he listens.
Yeah, of course, every week. Yeah. So I know we talked about it on the Periscope, but give me some of your thoughts on who you think might be coming. Or what is your thoughts?
I said Mark Killam intrigues me the most.
Okay.
Because of the experience he has with the Stampeders.
Comes from a good system.
Does.
Yep.
Players love him. We talk about there's this batch of coordinators head coaches in waiting, and he's near the top of the list. But, during this podcast, I can't help look at my phone and look at 2 people I trust in the CFL world, and they're pointing to Paul LaPolice. So
okay,
I trust them, and I would imagine that's probably where it's going, is Paul LaPolice is going to be the Eskimos head coach.
That would be I think that would be kind of a coup for the Eskimos, honestly, because it's not like there's not a lot of suitors for LaPolice at this moment.
Yeah. There's a couple anyway.
Well,
I would say the Eskimos in Ottawa, probably.
No, but I'm just saying that there's lots
and
of
Winnipeg
teams.
Keeping him.
Yeah, there's lots of that's what I mean. Like there's lots of teams that would want him to either stay or join their staff. So that'd be a pretty big get.
There's a lot of teams who want him as OC first and foremost.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I like, and I think the creativity is. From him it's just
some of the stuff he did with Matt Nichols
in the CFL.
That's so funny. Some of the stuff he did with Matt Nichols, like he might as well have just
poor Matt.
Poor Matt. That's a good guy.
Matt is a guy that's not a running kind of quarterback, right? And to have him all of a sudden like something in some wildcat formations where he's a receiver, and you're like, wow,
yeah.
That would be fun just to watch him work with the talent. And I mean, when you have an accurate quarterback, a quarterback who gets protected, and I just think he can just do so much. And he thinks outside the box a little bit. So that would be cool. That'd be a good pick. Mark Killam intrigues me too, just because of his background. I mean, he's learned at the foot of the master,
right?
John Huffnagel for 15 years, and then Dave Dickinson, who learned at the foot of the master for so many years, took over for Huff, and Killam's been under both of them. He was a candidate for the U of A job when Chris Morris got it, ended up staying in Calgary. I think he had some offers, and the Stampeders enticed him to stay. I think he's ready to be a head coach. Everybody seems to like him. Rob Maver at his retirement news conference last week just mentioned this guy will be a great head coach at some point. So he really intrigues me. I worry about the experience factor at head coach because I think
he's been in one system essentially.
Yeah, but to me, because he's been in the league for so long as a coach, maybe you don't need to have. Maybe he's got that experience, just not with the name head coach attached to it. So yeah, that intrigues me. And the Jamie Elizondo thing, as we talked about on the Periscope, I think it intrigues me. I don't think it died last week when everyone thought it died because I can't see if you want him bad enough and he wants the job bad enough that he doesn't go back to his employers or you don't go back to them and say, listen, how can we work this out? Because first and foremost, you don't want an unhappy guy coaching your football team, right? I mean, he was unhappy enough, and I feel bad for him because that's 2 years in a row it's happened to him now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he felt upset enough in Ottawa to walk away from it because they wouldn't let him interview, right? So, I don't know. I think maybe they'll explore that more. I mean, it's probably close to being done by this point. I mean, the interviews are taking place already.
It has to be.
If you haven't been able to talk to him now, maybe it's out. But I would assume that Brock might have taken a second run at him, or he might have taken a second run at his employers in the XFL at getting the opportunity to speak. So
But I mean, remember, there was a lot of talk about Noel Thorpe coming here and not being allowed to interview. He was obviously bothered by it, but they kept him anyway. So it does happen.
Yeah. I think too, Thorpe. Thorpe. I talked about him a lot, and I thought he might be into it too. But once you see Philip Lawley's coming back, and he's got a year left on his contract, I think that kind of puts him and Washington maybe on the back burner a little bit because the defensive-minded coaches, the guys who would be coaching DC, are kind of we got a DC already, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm just throwing it out there because we had all these people kind of move around. Do you think Claybrooks lands anywhere, or do you think he takes a year off?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Weird not seeing him at least as a DC somewhere.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think he's too good at DC, I think, not to get an offer from somebody.
Yeah.
Although, who's looking for one, right? Ottawa's going to be looking for one.
Yeah.
The Esksmas, it doesn't look like will be looking for one. He's not going to BC.
You don't think Thorpe will be back in Ottawa?
It depends what the new coach, right?
Right.
If it's Ryan Dinwiddie, for example, which is an interesting name and is going for a second interview, I'm sure Ryan Dinwiddie knows the number of Devon Claybrooks and say, hey, you want to come to Ottawa?
Well, and that would kind of make sense, right? Yeah. And then
honestly, I would think there's got to be a team out there who's going to say, he's better than our guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's got to be one.
I know we got a guy, we like him, but this guy's better than our guy.
Can I say how ridiculous his coach's cap is?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought you meant his cap. Sorry.
Well, yes, that too. So much so that David Braley fired him.
I think we've cleared that up. That's more a head issue than a cap issue.
Could be that.
But it's not just the head coaches, like the assistant coaches, your coordinators.
Yep.
You're going to have to hire coaches that aren't ready for this league, for the pros yet.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. They got to get rid of it.
Yeah, it doesn't take
maybe just a number, right? Like you only have this many coaches
for sure.
Of the salary.
Yes, salary, whatever, but this many coach
the non-personnel too. But
I talked with Randy Ambrosi about that at the Grey Cup, and he didn't really say too much about it. But what he did tell me in the interview I did with him is he didn't use these words, but he has kind of railroaded some changes through.
Yep.
Since he took over.
Oh yeah,
and he said he wants to do more things in consultation with the GMs and the coaches. And let's be honest, Chris Jones isn't in the league anymore.
Right.
So we don't really need the coach's cap anymore. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think maybe they might ease that up a little bit. I don't know if it'll be for next year or not.
Right.
Because, it's already in place, and I don't know if you can't really make any changes now.
I think it was for 2 years anyway.
But it seemed to me that he wanted to get more input from coaches and GMs about things like that. So,
That'd be good.
That'd be good.
And maybe
and
talk it over a season.
I think we all know what the coaches and GMs inputs will be on the coaches cap.
Yeah.
Get rid of it?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Again, maybe it's
I'm
a
just
number,
throwing it
right?
out there. Yeah, exactly.
You can only have X number of coaches or X number of personnel.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, we need to talk about our free agents. Got to talk about players that are going to be here or not here. There's just a few.
Yeah, how long do you have?
Yeah, well,
Don't get me going.
I mean, there's
1 year contract.
There is a long list of people who may or may not be here next year, with plenty of them being starters. Is there names on there that you are going, yes, we must have back? We have to find a way.
I'll give you my top 3.
Excellent.
David Beard,
Yep.
Javon Santos-Knox,
Ooh, okay.
Larry Dean.
Yes. Yeah.
No disrespect to anyone else, but that's my top 3.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
I can't really argue with those too much,
Okay.
and there's so many names on the list, I can't really remember them all either. But
Do you want the list?
I think let me have a peruse.
Yes,
there.
absolutely. You peruse.
Those 3 are pretty important.
I was
for
pretty
sure.
close to those.
Absolutely.
Well, Morley, let's enjoy the music.
I think for me, I would have probably said instead of Santos Knox, I would have had Josh Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Mike
Okay.
Moore too.
Mike Moore, yes. I think Mike Moore is going to get an NFL chance.
I was going to say, with Mike Moore, do we need him with Serezna back?
And the other thing is like the thing with Mike Moore though is that he did like he has moved here, he's committed, he wants, but if he gets that NFL call after this, like then he's going, right?
Oh,
So-
Everyone would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you see guys like Stephon Charles and
Jake Serezna.
Jake Serezna, thanks. Like getting those guys back and actually having them under contract so that we have that guy that can take over that spot beside Mondo, because Mondo is going to be here. Right. So I think that's a big thing. I mean, Javon was definitely high on my list, and I think that there's a good chance that he will be back. I think if he'd have played the whole season, I think he would be gone to the NFL.
He would have been gone to the NFL if he hadn't have broken his foot at the end of last year. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's what allowed him to be a free agent this year.
Yes.
And the Eskimos signed him, and then he never played till, he played 3 games, right?
I think four.
3 regular season or 4, whatever.
Yeah.
So is there enough tape on him? Probably for somebody to take a chance. But, I mean, since in the last 2 years, there's been, 4,000 graduating linebackers from the NCAA, right? So
Only?
he drops down, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, strong safety, yeah.
He'd have a good opportunity, right? Yep. So he's a smart football player, that's for sure. But I hope he's back. He's pretty key. And then you wonder about what do you do with Vontae Diggs then, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Like there is, if he does go, at least we know we've got. Hopefully, we can get Diggs to. I thought he had a 2 year.
He's not on the. He
wasn't on the list.
He's on the list. Yeah.
So we do have Diggs available. So then my other question, then we were talking about him earlier, but Don Unamba, are we able to sign him back, and do we?
Yeah, and the other thing that happens, sorry, Dave, just to think about the salary cap is you got Javon Santos-Knox and you got Vontae Diggs.
Absolutely.
Who's way cheaper.
Think of the money that Santos-Knox is going to require to return, where Diggs is already at a pretty minimum salary, I assume, for his second year.
Right.
So if you go with him and don't sign Javon Santos-Knox, then you have more money to spend on Mike Moore, Larry Dean, those other guys, David Beard, all those other guys, right? Or go out and get that defensive back in free agency that you want.
Right. And if he wants Brock Sunderland, that is, if he wants to be aggressive in free agency, he's got to let money walk out the door.
Yep.
Right.
And there's a lot of money on that list.
Yeah,
so
there's one money on that list, actually, I think.
There's one.
That's true.
There's
right
one money.
Yeah.
Okay, so
bye.
That was a
you miss me?
A great dad joke. Yeah, that was I like that one. Okay, so let's ask that question. You automatically say he's gone?
Who?
You think CU? Money Hunter?
Oh, we're going to talk about
Are we
this?
going there?
Absolutely, we're going to talk about
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, okay, here's my thought about talking about free agency at this time of the year. And I'm only doing it because it's you guys.
Yes, I know.
I don't like talking about it because the list is going to change
absolutely.
in early February. So it's so hard to forecast.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not even talking about free. I'm just talking about our own guys, though.
Well, do you want him back?
I do.
At this point, I would agree with you. I would agree with you.
Most people will say no because he can't control himself. But
he's a good player.
I think he has
coach. Maybe.
I think he. That's what I'm getting at. I think he needs another year of being coached up, whether that's by Josh Johnson or by Lawley or by whoever is the head coach. I really do think that he's got some amazing talent and some crazy speed. Mm-hmm. But he covers better than Young, so I'm not
Marcel.
He's not my. Yeah, he's not.
Are
the
you
Marcel
still on
guy.
that train?
Oh yeah, I'm always going to be on that train. Yeah.
Johnny Adams is on this list.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he retired, but he was very good. I've been told. Yeah. So no, I just think that, I think that he does have real talent, and you just need to reel him in a bit. Now, if we find someone else that can play that position and on the free agent list that is going to rotate, like you said, by February, then maybe there's a reason to not. But he's not going to be super expensive.
No.
And he does have talent. Can somebody else reel him in?
The more guys you can re-sign off that list, the better going into 2020.
Right.
Especially on defense, to me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if Hunter is... Obviously, he's got dreams of an NFL tryout. I don't know how bad his hand is. I mean, he had, from what I understand, pretty major surgery on his hand. Mm-hmm. And will that limit his opportunity to have his tryouts with the NFL, too? So
right. Yeah, no, I would agree.
Maybe he signs the dreaded one-year contract and comes back and
quite likely
gets some film and then tries it again next year.
It's got a pedigree, right?
So. How many of those 1-year contracts are we getting?
Everybody gets a 1-year contract.
That's actually a question. I don't know how many. Do you think there will be more 2-year contracts this year because we don't have the CBA?
Well, it would be nice if we had a CBA that we could look at, and apparently we are going to look at an actual physical document soon.
Oh,
I'm not.
At some point.
Morley,
you're going to read that thing, Dave? Go on.
That's his job.
I'll just let Dave read it, and he'll go, "Hey, look at this! It says here," and I'll go, "Oh, thanks, Dave."
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
I'm a wealth of knowledge, people.
That's we've always said that. Yes.
And the option year's back, like Morley referenced. The option window is back for the NFL, which is good. Is good. I just wish the CFL was more transparent about these contracts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're not going to announce the money, it's fine.
Just announce the term.
Yeah.
How
and
long?
Don't say 2-year deal. If it's 1+1, say it's 1+1. If it's 1 year, it's 1 year. If it's 2, it's 2. If it's 3, it's 3. Like, I'm getting tired of this
2
lack
plus
of transparency.
1, whatever. Yeah.
And what's with Matt Nichols, too? A free agent, but not on the list because of some kind of paperwork shuffle or something.
I don't know how
he doesn't have a
works.
contract for next year, but he's not on the free agent list. I don't
get that either.
That's CFL math is really difficult sometimes.
It's tough to manage.
Stop it.
There's the title of the podcast. Stop it. Yeah. Another name that popped out to me on the free agent list that I think they have to put some effort is going to be Shaq Cooper. And the reason I say that is because I'm not sure where CJ Gable is going to be at. I think he's still a great running back, but I don't know. I don't know where he's at. He's getting older, and I think Shaq Cooper showed some amazing things this year. I'm not saying that he could unseat him, but I'm not saying he specifically does, but he'd be cheaper. Yeah.
I don't say this meaning anything towards CJ Gable, but Shaq Cooper's earned a chance to play.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
He's earned a chance to start and be an everyday player.
That's how I feel too. And he brings a little bit of different stuff. And I think this year he showed that he got significantly better in his blocking. He's not blocking like CJ Gable, but he's definitely blocking much better than he was when he started.
And he's someone that I think this offense needs more of, and that's explosion.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as good as the offense was, it relied too much on precision. They needed 10, 12 plays to score touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to do in this league. And they didn't have a guy that could blow the secondary over the top.
Right.
They didn't. Even with Greg Ellingson, they didn't have that guy. So...
He said title of the podcast, and that's making me laugh. Sorry.
Okay.
It is so the title of the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'll explain it later, Dave.
Okay, thank you. Jeez. I'm going to separate you two, except the podcast be over.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
that's what they need. They need more explosion in their offense.
Yep.
They need a. When Trevor Harris was in Ottawa, you had Deontay Spencer.
Yeah,
right.
Enough said. They didn't have that in the offense in 2019. They didn't.
Well, and wasn't DeVaris Daniels supposed to be that guy?
He was hurt.
Yeah, I know, but
even when he
that's
played,
what I'm
he was
saying,
hurt.
is like that.
No.
So I mean,
heck of an arm on him though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he could throw that long ball quite well. Right.
Better than some of our quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. I know you already said you wanted Brian Walker likely to.
Yeah, I thought he's going to be a cheaper guy. He's super young for a guy that he played, in 2017 briefly, and then nothing in 2018, then was back with us. He's the guy I'd like to see at least give it a shot. Shaq Cooper, absolutely, but I think import running backs are probably your easiest spot to fill.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And who knows what else Brock finds in the matter of the next 6 months, because there's lots.
But like you guys were saying, like if we're putting money on some of these guys, it's got to come from somewhere.
Exactly.
You know, but there was no budget, there was no cap. I just sign them all.
Sure. Bring them all back. Let's go. Yeah.
In settings, turn salary cap to off.
Yes.
Sign whoever you want.
We're in creative mode.
Minecraft joke. Wow.
I know.
That's pretty impressive.
Like I got a 7-year-old.
It's something like that. Yeah, exactly. Lastly, before we sign off, what do you guys think of the progression of CFL 2.0? What do you think of how, I know the first season, obviously we didn't get as many guys in, but what do you think of some of that as we kind of try to expand the game?
I think it needs to be, I'm not sure. Well, here's my take on it then, as far as the players go. I hope the players get better and develop, which is fine. If you think of these guys as draft picks or whatever, second year you want to see more out of them, right? There was very few who made impacts this year.
Sure.
Yes.
And next year there's going to be 2 of them on the roster.
Right.
And if I'm a coach, I don't like that because you're taking tools out of my tool bag.
Right.
Because there's a lot of guys who are going to be on a roster next year that are going to sit on a bench for the whole game.
Right.
Right.
And so teams are going to be playing with fewer guys, right?
Yeah.
And that's why they're taking the third quarterback off, right? To make room for another global player.
Oh.
If they can play and they can make an impact, great. But they're far and few between who can, right? And who have. Right. I mean, the Eskimos, Royer was decent. He was able to play special teams. And that's, I know the Eskimos took the approach going in and says, okay, first thing we're going to sign a guy who speaks English because we don't want to have translators and don't want to have to translate our playbook into a different language. And so they did that. He went to school at McGill and everything. And Diego Villamonte speaks pretty good English. So they worked out. We didn't see them enough though. I mean, Villamonte's only played in the last game, right?
Right.
He played in 2, but he didn't actually see a single snap.
And he returned a kick, right?
Yeah.
And that was it. And Royer played on special teams, and that was it. Not that that's a discredit to anything, but I just think that the quality of the global players that are being forced onto the lineup or onto the roster has to be better in future years for this to work.
Right.
I mean, I know they're going to try and monetize it somehow with TV contracts and everything, right?
Of course.
And I know Diego told me the one game he was getting, the first game he was getting on the roster, he said his family was having a big day in Mexico. His brother was playing a college game that day, and they were all going to the college game in Mexico, then going home to have a big party and watch. Well, he never got off the bench. He dressed and didn't see the field, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So people in Mexico aren't going to pay money not to watch their guys. Right.
True. Yeah.
Or in France or in Germany or wherever, right?
Yeah.
So these guys have to play for this to be successful, but they have to be better to play, right? So it's kind of a chicken and egg thing that the CFL is. It's a good idea. I like the strategy of it. I like the mindset of it, but it's got to play out. And I don't know if it played out or not this year. So we'll see how year 2 is.
I think it's a lot like I think it is. I think we have to see much like if it is that draft pick, right? So first year, they're just kind of learning, and hopefully we see some of those guys take that next step the next year, right?
And also coaches, it's on coaches too. Coaches have to look at them as players, not global players.
Correct, yes.
Right? They have to look at them as guys that I can use instead of guys that I have to have on my roster.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's on the coaches too.
And right now, coaches look at it as, I need a roster spot for a global, so I'll just put
special teams,
the Finnish receiver on and not play him. Right. And I think it was 2.0 was fast-tracked in year one.
Yeah. Fair enough, yeah.
And there has to be better communication between the CFL and the partners, the global partners. Like at combines, okay, tell them you're having one and make sure they understand what this is.
Yeah.
Give me your best players, because I'll tell you, the Mexican draft, they did not give the CFL the best players because there was a little bit of a miscommunication. And even the global, the Euro draft, same situation. Right. Theodric Hansen was the most successful global player in Winnipeg because he played snaps and he actually did something for the Bombers. And he was good in the Grey Cup game, if you remember.
What a hit.
Yeah. But it was fast-tracked. They got to find a way to communicate better. And like Morley says, don't make the global player a guy that a coach just has to put on a roster for clerical reasons, or for I have to fill out a document and I'm just going to put 2 global players. Make sure they can play.
Yeah. Yes, that's fair. That's awesome. Well, dudes, this was awesome. As always, I love doing the year-end wrap-up with you, and of course our season preview that we will do hopefully in around May sometime. Always awesome to have you guys down here. Where does everybody find you on all of the Twitter box and all those things? Preferably not the trolls. I know, Dave.
Yeah. I already spoke to you.
You did.
Gonna have to clean that later.
Stop.
Dave_Ched on Twitter. On Instagram, I'm Dave_Campbell 630.
Ooh, Instagram too this time.
He's gramming it.
Our kid's growing up, guys.
And what is Snapchat? Snap face.
What Morley calls it.
On the Twitter box, you can find me at Morley_Scott. On Instagram, you can find me at Morley_Scott. And I only do Snapchat with my daughter, so don't even bother.
That's fair. Yeah.
How many days in a row now?
I think we're closing in on 200, 196.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a big streak.
Wow. That is a streak.
One thing we haven't really touched on is this has been the first year of you doing a podcast as well. How did that go for you?
It was interesting. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed we kind of got away from the game review, game preview to a certain extent, and looking for a different angle, kind of. And I loved sitting down with some players and some other guys, some former players, and having a chance just to talk about their journey.
Right.
And for me, it's all about the journey, where they came from and how they got to where they are and who helped them to get to where they are. And I had a lot of fun. I had a great chance to talk with some great guys.
Yeah.
And they opened up to me a little bit, which made it pretty cool.
I like when you worked in Blake as well.
Yeah, Blake was a lot of times he was the best part.
Yeah,
because Blake's got stories about everything.
He does,
and like I said on one podcast, he's got a story about everything, and if he doesn't, he'll make one up.
Oh, boy,
and actually the two, I did a double episode with Blake,
right.
And I got his daughter Carly to do the halftime feature, which Blake usually does, which turned out pretty well too. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of work though.
For sure.
I got more respect for you podsters out there for the work you put in. It's a lot of work.
It is a bit, but now also plug the show. Where does everybody find
it? It's called the E-Pod.
Lovely.
And what's the phrase you guys use? Podcatchers?
Yes.
You can get it wherever, whatever podcatcher you use. I like to use the phrase, you can get it wherever you find your ear candy. So,
ear candy.
Go get some ear candy with the E-Pod. And they'll stand up, too. I mean, we've talked to guys all season long, and nothing is dated. It's all. Yes. Yep. It's not about the games. It's all about like I say, guys and their journeys and everything. So go ahead. What's the phrase? Rate, review, and all that other stuff.
Subscribe.
Right?
Yeah, rate, review, and subscribe.
Rate,
that's right.
Review, and subscribe. There you
go. All 5 stars.
So thanks for that. Appreciate letting me have a plug for that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Super fan. Where does everybody find you?
You can find me at 56 Parkies on the Twitter, and then the history segment at Eskshistory.
Wonderful. You can find me opening my Advent Day gin calendar and enjoying every moment of it. But if you do want to find me on Twitter, it is at Freepalicious, the show at EskEmpirePod. Make sure, of course, you're following Pay It Forward with football. They had an amazing first season.
Absolutely.
And they are prepping for the next year's excitement, so follow them along. And yeah, I always want to give them kudos because I thought they just did amazing.
If I could say something, guys,
you can.
You guys do a great job. Love listening to the show all the time.
Thank you.
It's always fun to come here and talk football. I thought I could talk football with you guys all night. I thought for a while we were gonna, but apparently we're coming near the end, so that's also good. But keep it up, guys. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Download
that.
you every week.
Oh, thank you.
Coming up on season 6.
I know. Crazy, right? Season 6 of doing this. Holy, how much more stuff can I put in this room? Well, we're going to find out.
Not much.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you're running out of room for pictures. You're going to have
still tons of room.
Fast fact for you. Yeah. Next year's Grey Cup winner will be the last one on the current Grey Cup.
Oh, wow.
And then they'll have to start taking
players off.
Bars off. I was just thinking,
yes.
You have to start doing that after.
That's what I'm doing on the top. Yeah, exactly.
You have to start taking guys down.
Yeah, kind of rotating stuff. Yeah, exactly. Just keep my favorites up. All right. Of course, we are a part of the Alberta Podcast Network. Make sure you find out all the great shows there at albertapodcastnetwork.com. There we go. And find all of our social channels on eskempire.ca. We will be back in January, unless there is some other big news that comes up.
Happen.
Well, we might have to throw a
next week
little episode in there just for fun and games. We will talk about this more in January, but we are going to have our off-season Westivus party January 25th at first round, 5 o'clock start, end whenever we all feel like we need to drag ourselves out of there. But we are going to sit down and talk some football and get prepared for free agency. As it turns out, we'll also be a bit of a going away party for our pod sister.
Yep.
As she gets ready to leave in February. So make sure you join us January 25th at first round. What's that?
And we'll also be doing the new Esks history segment as well in the off season.
In the off season, that's right. I didn't want to plug that quite yet because we're gonna set that up properly in January. Yes, so
excellent.
That's the little tease. Is make sure you tune in January to hear what Superfan Mike has prepared for us that he's already probably sweating over, as am I, and we're gonna have some fun with that in the off season. So I guess the only question this week is it time to find a new coach and get things started for 2020?
Absolutely.
For Dave, Morley, Commissioner Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch football with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you in the new year.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.